It's only right that I do it with the one I began it with.
Buck roll.
I got Big Bro in the booth with me, man.
Willie G.
We going to the green with some things, man. That's how I go.
No photo, just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we grown. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo. Just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we grown. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo. Just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we grown. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo. We rolled up flowers in broad day. A fast pace, we trying to get it in mass ways. I'm a port. Just let them mad hate. Pay me my dividends, they know we shouldn't win, but yeah, we did again. I know what heaven sent, it got a heavy scent. Let that old polo, that for sure, you know. Let them breathe that, cocky and humble, they never seen that, but y'all know. And the odds know me, cause we leveled up on them like a surprise, homie. Keep your eyes on me, locked in what God told me. Stuck in the grind going, flashbacks and relays. Lit party where we stayed, now it's time to do it. Now it's time to maneuver, now it's time to complete what I never thought I'd be doing. Hustle no double, one straight to the trouble. I'm trusting in God, bro. No faking and nothing, no hating or bluffing. A lot of love for GA. That country slang like we ain't and he changed. They don't feel it though. This for my family, bro. No photo, just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we grown. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo. Just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we grown. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo. Just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we grown. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo.
Take a state to make it back and forth. The law been crazy, different places I'd have been. I never imagined seeing. I'm in the Maserati, me and B, I'm rocking you a pen. A line with 50 people, I'm walking past like I don't see. Remember we ran for cops, now I got $1 million problems. Man, I want some rich problems. I talked to bro, he said don't hold back. Your picture perfect, no Kodak, a cold pass. Talk about the life that I had, the way I'm at, and nothing ever made me go back. Okay, with 7 girls, low key, I'm little more. Need to hit the city more, show my pieces really more. Came out the fast, only flight for now, no more tracks. My hustle active, remember the magic was the bang for me.
You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see how it's gonna go. But we're gonna do the Iceberg, and I just want like how y'all doing? Like, cause like we don't talk to each other before we do this. It's like, what's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's Audrey's main focus right now without getting too personal?
So, I decided this in September because I work in retail and it gets really crazy. And I'm an entrepreneur. I have Royal Ink. I'm an author. I'm a writer. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs with branding and visuals. I just decided to pause everything for fourth quarter. I needed a break. Coming off of the creative grief, I was like, I need a minute to just not be writing, unless I want to, but not. I needed to come out of the obligation of it. So I just took a lot of things off my plate to get some balance. I feel just really off balance, and I felt myself getting a little overwhelmed and a little bit depressed. And I was like, this ain't cool. And I was glad for the awareness to catch it and do something about it and course correct. And so I just, again, suspended all of my services for fourth quarter and just focus on some things for myself. Because I wanted to be able to come home after a long day of work and just watch TV and not feel guilty like something else I should be doing instead. You know, like, no, I've done my work, I've done this, and I've closed it off, and I still have time to do whatever I want to do and just relax or talk to my mom for an hour or check in on friends. And this is one of the first years, I've been in retail for 25 years, and this is one of the first years that I just kind of planned what I wanted to do and scheduled around that, as opposed to letting work dictate when I can do the things I want to do. So I just got back from a girls trip. Me and my mommy, just the two of us, went to Washington, D.C., to the Museum of African American History and Culture. Just got back literally on Friday. And so I'm in a good space and really enjoying time with my family in a way that I haven't in the past in the holiday season because of retail. And I decided that it doesn't run my life, you know, and I decided I wanted to get on top of some things. And I don't have to sacrifice this for the sake of being successful in that. And so balance is what I'm trying to do. And I like where I am right now.
I like balance. That's a good word.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
Man, I just been living, honestly, being a dad, a husband. Truthfully, that's been it. Really laying low, out of sight, out of mind, really. I love it, honestly. I really do. It's a simple answer for me, but that's really what it is. That's all I've been doing.
Nice.
All right, so we got balance. Okay, so we just gonna start with the Iceberg. I just wanted to check on y'all. All right,
So let's
what's
check
up
on
with
you.
you,
Willie, what
what's
you been
been
up
going on?
to?
and one
I
word.
was really high. I'm sorry.
One word. Tribe.
Okay.
Try.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's a sneak peek.
It's like not even a sneak. It is kind of, but I ain't even gonna talk about that. It's just like that word, and basically like after the whole creative grief joint, and for me it was freeing, especially to like understand, be in the room with people who went through certain things. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not the same thing, but they could relate. So it was like that whole thing was freeing. But since then, it's like it's been a whole process of like basically like God healing me as I go, and I'm like I'm on go mode right now. It's like we had the same. I had a pop-up podcast with Frank, and
Shout out to Frank.
and it's
Shout
like
out to Frank.
we had a big talk about religion, and I was like, I got a big problem with religion, and what I mean is not, you know what I'm saying, I got a big problem with man-made traditions, and it's like for this reason, that's why I think the topic gonna be crazy, and it's like the reason I got a problem with religion is because it's keeping people from God. And what I mean, this is my perspective, man. The whole reason I was scared to do this in the first place, because I'm coming into this knowing that I don't got all the answers, and God's still saying like go. And he basically he like bruh, you got to give up the right, you know what I'm saying, give up the right to be right all the time, and just go. So I'm going right now, knowing I ain't got all the answers, but it's like, to me, this is religion. Like the Pharisees talking to Jesus, which is God, talking to God about God. So they so married to their own traditions that they miss God right in front of them. Yeah, and I feel like that's a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when I think about it, I almost get irritated, because the only people who get to heaven is not the people who know about God, but who God know. Because what they
That's so heavy. You talking about my stuff heavy? Good Lord.
No, but we gonna ease back. We're gonna ease back, but it's like I gotta go ahead and just start that. Then we're gonna go back and talk about, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna light it up.
But I'm trying to find like the scripture to back what you're saying. Yeah, because there is one.
Yeah, because Jesus was like, I never knew you. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's like,
okay, so but there's the scripture in Mark 7 and 13. I'm in the NLT. And it talks about your traditions nullifying the word of God and making God's word ineffective. But this version says, and so you cancel the word of God in order to hand down your own tradition. And this is only one example he's talking. But it's like, God's word is God's word. But the one thing that can make it ineffective is your traditions. If you're not willing to sacrifice your traditions, then God's word can't be effective wherever you hold a tradition.
That's facts.
That's good.
Let me find the right question, because it's a lot.
You want me to read the whole intro?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, Willie always setting us up with topics, and I sent this. I think it could be interesting to discuss the difference between believers who were born and raised in church and those who found God later in life. I'm always curious to know what makes a person come to accept Christ when they weren't introduced through their upbringing. It can be really hard for me to imagine sometimes. And so the questions that were just like branches off of that tree: how would you introduce an adult non-believer to our faith, especially in this day and age, referring to social media and all those things, internet? Do you believe Christians respect other faiths? Why are there so many cultural differences within the Christian faith? For example, denominations, attire standards, service protocols, etc. Do the cultural differences make the faith look divided? How do you think the Christian faith as a whole comes across to people, good and or bad? So what say you?
And that's wow. So obviously we can't pick one of them, but it's like,
I'm trying to remember what made me think, because it was something I saw or heard.
Yeah. So I mean,
that
like,
made me be like,
so you basically coming from the you trying to like you trying to figure out why was somebody who has no, you know what I'm saying, foundation, like grandma didn't know God, you know what I'm saying, like nobody knew God, like they just, how did you stumble across Jesus? Like, what, you know what I'm saying?
And I think what it makes me wonder, what it makes me wonder is it, and David and I were talking about this briefly when we ran into each other last week or whenever that was, but is one of the things I wonder, is it a horrifically bad thing? Like, I can't imagine if it's a really, really good thing and you don't have God, then why would you feel like you needed him? If it was like, does it have to be a tumultuous, hard, rock bottom kind of place? Because then if you got like non-believers that you love, then it's like, is that what it's going to take for them to come to God? Like, you don't want them to take that, but you want them to come to God. So my mind went to all these different places. And because I grew up in church, my grandparents are missionaries, my father's a pastor, I grew up in it, so it made sense to me. But also I know how inquisitive I am and how analytical I think, and I break things down. I ask questions. Even how I came to like some of the stuff in my book is because I asked in church, asking questions nobody wanted to ask. But when you can Google everything, and when everybody's telling you do you, or they're picking apart religions to build their own, and it's so easy to be confirmed on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I just wonder, like, Lord, if I didn't come to you, knew to save me early, because I don't know that adult Audrey I might have been too much in my own mind, and I don't know. I thank God for knowing more than me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I honestly think that that's a big reason why a lot of folks come to the faith later in life. I mean, it's something unfortunate that happens, and they hit that rock bottom, and everything they tried prior to that point doesn't get them to their deliverance or their the other side of it. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I think they search for this God thing, this Jesus thing they hear about when they're. You can't hear me?
No, I just want to hear you a little more.
Okay.
I got you. No, go ahead. Do your thing. I know it's a little awkward.
Interrupting my thoughts and everything. No, you good.
My fault, bro.
You good. No, I'm saying, like, honestly, I think that's what a lot of folks that find the faith later in life. That's it's through a tumultuous time. And it's unfortunate that you have to get to that point to find God and to find love, honestly. Like, yeah. So, I mean, that's my input on that. And we gotta, honestly, like, I want to pivot already, because my man is in the building, and we talk, pre-podcast about including him in the session. I think he would be a really good person to answer this question and give us his story, how he found God.
Mic him up.
So, do you want to say anything, or you want to lay back?
I'll lay back for now.
You gonna lay back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable? Would you feel comfortable talking from where you at? Just telling us. Or you just want to lay back?
Nah, I'm just gonna lay back.
He laying back. We laying back.
Lay back and listen.
All right, so I actually picked out a spot to kind of crank it up, and it's like, Audrey asked the questions like, why are there so many cultural differences within Christian? You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing like I started to ask. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one God. You know what I'm saying? But it's like holiness, like what is right. You know what I'm saying? Differs within. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got some people who diehards, who you can't wear makeup, and then you got over here in this denomination, it's like, that's all right, and it's like, but it's divided, one God, but it's like different standards, and it's like, and that's confusing by itself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's where we at. It's like, basically, like, we just gonna, I'm just here just to speak against.
But you know how confusing that would be for someone that's a non-believer to see so many different variations of the gospel that's, you know what I'm saying, that we preach, and how segregated Sunday mornings are. Like,
yeah, and even you got people who not that they haven't been to church. They've been, but the experience that they had was not an accurate representation of God. Right. But because we're so divided, because if you invite them to another church where they may have a better experience, they're like, well, y'all say y'all serve the same God. Why would it be any different? And so I think that could get really all over the place for people.
I heard it was like 30,000 different denominations to our faith.
Are you serious?
That is wild to me. If that's
30,000?
30,000. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I honestly want to look it up.
I can't name 30. But
and it's like,
and do we think non-denominational has kind of started taking on its own level of everybody non-denominational kind of looks the same, so they kind of their own. Right. It's so interesting.
And me personally, man, I'm just here for this. Like I'm just to the point where I'm almost fed up, and it's like, and really, I really think it'd be God staring me up, because like it'd be like weird things aggravate me, and like not even like weird things aggravate me or frustrate me. I forgot. I got the writer.
No, I just say a holy frustration. I'm not correcting.
Oh, holy frustration, but that's exactly right. And it's like I get frustrated because, you know, I got a relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I know Darius. So if somebody come talking crazy, like, oh man, Darius did such and such. Not saying I know the deepest part of him, but there's certain things if they're saying Darius doing, I'm like, bro, you don't know him. Like, you capping. And it's like sometimes I hear people talk about God, and not saying I ain't guilty of it, they like it's like how they talk is so sad, and like it's like they talk as if God not gonna come through for him, and I'm like you like he not that good, and I'm like, bro, you don't really know him like that. Not saying I know what you think, but just by me knowing this guy you talking about, how you speaking, it's like I don't watch people get prayed for, and it's like you can see it in their body movement. Like they not expecting to get healed. They just glad they getting prayed for. Like they not expecting after this prayer I'm about to get healed, and it's like they pretty much like nah, we just gonna go through the motions. Like I know after this prayer, you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna be healed. And sometimes it is the case. A lot of times it's the case. But you know what I'm saying, to not expect is to be like, well, what we doing? You feel what I'm saying? Like it's like, do we like is God our Father? And it's like, bruh, like we gonna pause on that. Like God, creator of all things, is our Father. And it's like, so you mean to tell me, bro, you know what I'm saying? Because God kind of beat up on me, like, because I was in a depressed state, like, real talk, like, that's the fact. But, like, after God brought me out of that thing, he was like, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't do that again. Basically, like, what you doing?
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. You're like, bro, don't do that again.
That's it.
Because it was real, but fear is the biggest lie. Yeah. And it's an insult to God, and it's like, bro, let's not play this religion game. Let's not, like, if God ain't real, let me go wild out. Let me get like 3 big booty chicks. Let me, yeah, for real.
And
like,
just go crazy.
Let me just go crazy.
You got the wife during the week. Keandra, I love you.
And I love my wife
too.
And I tell her this. I'm like, bro, we gon' like, if God ain't real, like, bro, we wilding out, like, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we about to get plotting. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro,
but what's so interesting about what you said? So I think the church has done a disservice to people because they show these very singular versions of a relationship with God. And so, like, okay, some people think that in order to experience God, you got to get in your car, get dressed, and drive to a church. Some people think they only experience God literally through prayer. And one of the things I was sharing with a friend of mine just last week, I said, in this season, I find myself, I spend more time in fellowship with God than I do prayer.
Do you think?
But even to learn the difference.
Do you think we need a uniform? That we need a uniform experience?
No, I don't think we need a uniform. It's because God can be whatever he needs to be for whoever. We aren't uniform people. He's the same, but he can go anywhere he needs to go. We have the limitations. Mm-hmm. And so it can be hard to wrap our mind around. I don't really try like that. But I do know that feeling of when you hear people talking about someone that you've come to know so well that you can tell. Like me and God kick it all the time, every day, all the time. And so when you hear somebody talking about God, you just it immediately, not even from a judgment, you don't even have to say it, but within yourself you're like, you don't really know him like that. You know?
Well, that's facts.
But like what you were just saying, and I don't know what it takes for people to get into fellowship. And I think sometimes the church is not teaching people to, okay, this is what I'm saying, this is what this is for, but go home and this is how do you study the word. Not that there's one right way, but you got to find a way to get in there and fellowship with God yourself and have him talk back to you. Because he's going to, think about the crevices of your life, like those personal things that you don't want to tell anybody. You want God to have to tell your pastor in order to tell you about something that's so deeply personal.
Right.
Like that, those are the kind of fellowship I've been having with God in the last few months, where it's things like it's some things where he's like, I'm God your father. I've given you an earthly father. He's good, but there are some things even he cannot father you on. Mm-hmm. So God is filling in those spaces. Like, yeah, your pastor's a wonderful spiritual father, but he can't give you everything. Yeah. I can give you everything. So if you neglect that time one-on-one with me, you're neglecting a large part of the relationship. And you think you always need a proxy for me? Right. You think you got to conjure me up? It's just so many things.
I'm glad you say conjure, because like, bro, that's
oh, he got me together real quick with that. He's like, you don't have to conjure me up. And to your point, before I forget, one of the things he told me, the Holy Spirit told me, just last week was like, Audrey, I'm not offended by so many things that church culture is offended by. That don't really bother me like that.
I believe it.
He's like, some of this stuff like, oh man, oh my God, I slipped up and said that word. He's like, it don't bother me like it bothers some people. And he was just showing me some different things. Like, the churches are going to be offended by this. He's like, I don't believe. If that bothered me, I couldn't reach people.
Yeah, about that.
And
you know?
And it's like, bro.
If profanity, well, and I'm not saying to go out here and just be offensive, but if that if you can't deal with that, then you can't reach people. And I said it before I realized really how profound it was. I said this maybe 20 years ago. I said, back in the day, I'm an 80s baby, so there used to be, other 80s babies can vouch for this, there used to be, you used to be able to smoke inside buildings like restaurants. And when you go to a restaurant, they would ask you, do you want smoking or non-smoking?
Right.
And we would go out, and this was me as a kid. We would go out in like a group, and they said, well, we only, like, if let's say it's a party of 10, it was like, well, they're actually smoking or not, and we would say non-smoking. And they would be like, well, for non-smoking, that's about a 30-minute wait, but if you want to sit in the smoking section, we can seat you now. And people are like, oh, no. I was like, well, if you sit in the smoking section, you don't have to smoke. I said, if we go and sit in the smoking section, then that's less people that can smoke. Yeah. And I think the job of the kingdom is to go into the smoking section. We're called from darkness into light spiritually, but in the earth, we're called to go into dark and shine light. And so I think our job as believers is to go into the smoking section and fill it up. Now, you can't get mad if somebody smokes because you're in the smoking section.
Right.
Now, if it's 10 of you, you're taking up a table. So in that vicinity, nobody's smoking. But if the dude behind you smoking, he in the smoking section. If you go into the world, people going to be doing worldly things. Right. But that's why we're there. You see what I'm saying? And then what happens is because we're in the smoking section in large numbers, the whole establishment looks more like a non-smoking establishment. Mm. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like I've always felt like that's the role of believers in the kingdom. Right?
Yeah, that's the yeast thing. Yeah.
And isn't that what Jesus did?
Went to the smoking section.
Right. He went to the smoking section. They accused him of doing the same things he was the people he was hanging around with. Like, because he was really trying to save those.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Really, I think we forget that. We get on a high horse and pride, honestly.
We put Disney shades
kills us, like,
on the Bible.
Disney shades. What's Disney
Disney
shades?
goggles.
Huh? What'd you say?
What's that?
What? Okay. Hey, I thought coming off what I like what she said. Conjure. You know what I'm saying? She always starting stuff. You see, this is where we going off the X. Hey, fam, look, bro. This is where we going off the X. We was on 95. We going off the X. All right, so look.
She's stirring the
pot. Look, so
like, nah, I ain't.
She said conjure. She said conjure, right? And it's like that's what God was dealing with me, and it was like they treat me, even me. You know what I'm saying? Because everything I speak about, I went through first. So it's like I was treating God like a formula, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Tithe plus prayer plus reading plus not sinning equals blessing.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
And then you get to answer with somebody out here wild and getting blessed.
And it's like, I'm gonna be like God deals with everybody different. With me, he deals with me in questions. And honestly, like some of the stuff, like I might speak that, like, cause I don't like to say God see everything. You know what I'm saying? But a thought will come to my head, and it be wild, bro. Like, bro. Like,
give us the formula one time.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? Like tithe, like offering, plus praying, plus not sinning equals blessing. You know what I'm saying? That's what's gonna make God move. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the time where I done did it, bro. Like me and my partner talked about the other day, bro. Listen, I done did the whole formula. I done sat down, I done blocked the world out, I done put the worship music on. I'm in the room crying. I'm knowing after this, bro. Like, bro, God about to elevate me. And the whole time, bro, 30, 45 minutes, God didn't say nothing. And then at the end of that, you really gotta, like, okay, now you look dumb. You done cried. God ain't said nothing. But you know, God, it's almost like God looking at me like, yeah, you look dumb.
Listen,
he ain't saying
so
nothing.
I'll tell you the moment
like,
that I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That shook me out of that. Again, going back, they know my story, but I lost my daughter, so I was going with, like, in the early stages of grief. And I was, praying, and I had to be okay. Now, I remember I wrote this article. I said, I'm very careful not to give the doctors too much credit for what they did or didn't do or couldn't do, because at the end of the day, God could do whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. But one of the things, and I went back to, with Daniel and the fiery furnace and the Hebrew boys and all that stuff and Lion's Den stuff, and just thinking. But the question I landed on was, what is your faith in? Is your faith in God or the strength of your own prayers? Because you could say, God help me, and that could be like, you don't need nothing articulate, just like whatever the need is. But some people think because they have these grandiose prayer and worship, and they cried and laid and all that different stuff. And I'm not saying that those aren't true moments for people, because absolutely some of them are. But the more you do that doesn't necessarily equal the amount God will move on your behalf. He will hear anybody like, hey, God, bro, listen. The Cat Williams play that's floating around, Lord, this is your servant.
Bro, I just listened to that, bro.
You know, but to act like God will hear one prayer more than the other and move is putting us in the God seat.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, I prayed hard. Ain't nobody hard. He said pray without ceasing. He said, but hard, you know. And so it just really shifted that's the beginning of shifting my mind around a lot of different things. Like you were saying, like you went through all of this stuff, and if somebody on the outside looked in and they equated that with God's power, they'd be like, oh God, you know, they would. But then you had the presence of mind to know that didn't do nothing. But made me feel better. I'm not negating an emotional experience, but did God move any more for that behavior than he would for me saying, God, if you could just help me figure this out, I really appreciate it.
And bro, and that's why I like you. You got anything on that, David? You got any?
I'm still waiting on that Disney shades.
Oh, the Disney shades. You see, that's what I like because you get. All right, so
back.
look.
And how did you end up on White Bluff? All right, Disney,
yeah. Oh, I see. Now she's throwing shade.
I don't know what.
That was. She's saying I'm getting off the topic now, but you know what I'm saying? We all know.
He asked you an express question.
We got witnesses in the room, bro. We know who took us off course, but it's all good.
He asked you a question. You answer. I piggyback off of what you said, and he brought you back to what he asked.
This is why we love you. This is like we hope you do that.
But I do want to go back. Because I know you ain't going to answer that anyway.
No, I'm about to answer right now, but go ahead.
I'll answer fine.
I actually Googled it, and it says estimations show that there are more than 200 Christian denominations in the U.S. and a staggering 45,000 globally. Like,
hold on, say that again?
I said, estimations show that there are more than 200 Christian denominations in the U.S. and a staggering 45,000 globally.
And that's crazy.
That's nuts.
So
how many
we just do what we want to do.
200.
So
it's gotta be 137 in Savannah.
I'm like, bro, like Disney. I'm gonna go to Disney shade. I'm gonna stick them right here. Like, okay, so this is what I mean. Like I said on the episode when we did Creative Grief. Like when I was in that depressed state, I started reading the Bible slower. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't motivated to do anything else. I'm in the Bible 24/7 looking for sermon. I'm looking for some way to get out this feeling. So I'm in the Bible heavy, and I'm starting to read it slower. And it's like, okay, about the whole Disney shades. Like, even like we talked about Abraham. Like, we read Abraham, and like they even got Abraham's story in the kids' book. But bruh, like let's put this in real life. You're real like, okay, so the child was probably about around 13. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't he's probably around. He was carrying his own wood. He was carrying his own deathbed. Probably about 2 or 3 day walk. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So Abraham got to walk 2, 3 days within his mind, bro. I'm about to kill my son. That alone, as a father, like, will give you a heart attack, bro. Yeah. You can't. I know he's not eating. You feel what I'm saying? He got the bubble guts. Stress. He's sweating. Yeah. Bro, he's terrified, bro. Yeah. And like Disney picture like paints like, yes, Abraham is the father of faith, but this is why. Like, let's paint the real picture. This is why he's the father, because he was willing. A man just like me, I got a son. I can't imagine walking 2 days knowing I'm about to kill Trey. Bro, my heartbeat, bro. I'm probably gonna die as soon as I kill him. I'm probably gonna die. It's probably gonna bust my heart. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
I can do it.
And but he was willing to do that. So you gotta ask yourself in real time, like, okay, if a man like me and you was willing to kill his own son, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? For a guy he can't see. You know what I'm saying? He had to be real to him. Like, I tell anybody about, like, ain't all the disciples, nobody died on the cross for something that they pretended.
Listen,
nobody's being a martyr. Like, end of the day, like, nobody's being a martyr for somebody they don't know. And it's like, okay, we got my man in the room. I ain't gonna mention his name or whatever, but he didn't know God. Well, he didn't have no prior foundation on God. Am I correct? Am I do?
Oh, all the way.
Okay, so
yeah, no mom, no big mama, no mama dragging me, no mention, none of that.
So this man had no foundation of God, yet he's here. He's in the room with us right now, and like my man go what God told. I'm like, God, what you want me to do? And basically it was like, show the people what it looks like to be loved. And it's like, cause like my whole thing is like, yeah, God got a standard. He got the highest of standards, but the transformation happens in the journey as you go. You know what I'm saying? Right. This ain't no this ain't no I gotta get it right thing. No, you gonna get it right. Just, you know what I'm saying? This a personal thing. I won't, like, if I would answer the question, like, how would we minister to people? Like, how would we minister to people like my man who never seen God? I would show them what it looks like to be loved. Like, I don't, like, now I'm to the place where I don't hide from God in my sin. Like, I'm in my sin. I'm talking to God like how I get out. Like, I'm not trying to get it right. Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to get it right. Then, like, I'm like, God, I slipped up there. Help me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, this is like, and it's a real thing. Cause like, bro, like, ain't no point of pretending. Like, how many Christians you said was on this earth?
How many denominations? 45,000.
45,000. So you need to tell me it's 45,000 people. You know what I'm saying? Just put out them 45,000 people who's saying that they are children of the Most High God. You know what I'm saying? There should not be a bullet flying, a murder happening. Like, the world should be at total peace. You mean to tell me that the creator of all things, children, walking around here, you know what I'm saying, depressed, me, you know what I'm saying, broke, me, you know what I'm saying, struggling with sin, me, and we out here saying, I am a friend of God, so you God partner. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? We kicking it with God, and we ain't got no power. Like, bro,
right. Why would you want to follow something like that?
Like, it's like, where to change it? It's like, I say this now, if not saying I know God, but if I didn't know God, Christianity would not be appealing to me, because it's like, most Christians are like, they're depressed. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
they're depressed.
They see they flaws.
They're really judgmental.
Well, I ain't gonna say most, because that's not, because I know a lot of good ones. But,
yeah, but the perception is that the Christian faith is really judgmental, and I've experienced it.
Yeah.
Who in here has not experienced some form of judgment in the name of this ain't what God wants, or this ain't what, like, or you can't, just any little thing that made you feel like you weren't worthy.
Right. All the time. I mean, it's like, shoot, that's a whole episode by itself. And it's like, but why the same? No, you about to say something?
I think, honestly, to get back to how would you minister to a person that hasn't come to know God in this day and age, and you really hit it on the head, showing love. Honestly, like, I think that's what we forget, and I think a lot of times in our faith, we forget that love is what draws us. Love is what converts us. Love is God.
Love
is
love.
Who
is what God is.
Right,
Exactly. Who He is.
And I think we antagonize folks into wanting to serve the God we serve, and I'm confused by that, because, like, why would I want to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna scare me into it, or you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's gonna last for so long. But ultimately, the love is what keeps us. And I think, honestly, showing genuine love. Like, when I do it, I mentor a lot of kids, right? And their parents call me with the issues, and I'm just like, all right. And certain times I have to come scoop them up. I have to have face-to-face interaction. And a lot of times I won't even address the issue. I would just show them love. And they'll get home. Their parents will be like, what did you say to him? He's like totally different. I didn't say anything. I just showed them love, genuine love. And I think love is ultimately what changes someone. Like,
no, man, love is super powerful, and it's just like, bro,
it's the most powerful force in this universe.
I want people to know that, bro. Like, this is, I'm calling this whole rollout, like, me speaking for me personally. It's like I'm trying to reintroduce the Father. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to read, cause like you said, we got this Bible, and when I was depressed, I was reading that thing real slow, and it was real slow, and it was like certain things I pop out. Okay, so let's just stop for a second. Okay, this God, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, this the Creator. Ain't nobody smarter. So I'm a rapper. I put certain things in bars, you know what I'm saying, purposely. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm throwing breadcrumbs purposely underneath a whole song, right? And it's like, if I got the smarts to do this, okay, you got the all-knowing God speaking to these humans. So let me speak in ways that never sleep here tonight, fam. Man. And that's the biggest goal, like, bro, like I'm like Audrey. In no way am I promoting, like, you can live any kind of way you want. But what I tell people, my advice, you know what I'm saying? What I tell people is, don't focus on what you weak at or your flaws. Just know Him.
Yeah, doesn't love encourage change behavior?
Exactly.
It does.
Like, right. You gonna change.
But how many times, especially, like, if I use the example because I'm the only woman. But like if a woman gets pregnant, and then I know women who've gotten pregnant and gotten kicked out of church. I'm like, where else she gonna go? Don't get mad at wherever else she go, because if she goes somewhere real out of pocket to get help when she tried to come here, don't get mad at where she go if you turned her away. And I've seen the church turn people in need away if it wasn't a need that looked good on paper.
Right.
Like I couldn't write it off on my tax. That's real harsh. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
But it's like there's not enough. The story we teach the story of the prodigal son, but I don't see enough of that response.
Yeah.
When he comes to himself and come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
Or if you mess up, like somebody like me in church that may like do something off of the, like, oh, this out of the holy column, you know, and then you want to stay, you feel like you do not accept it the same way before you did whatever you did.
Right.
And so it's like I didn't even want to run away. I wanted to stay where my family and love is, but I don't even feel. I feel like they look at me different.
No,
it's tough.
Well, that's real.
Or just.
I feel like
I'm just like with the women, the attire. Like a woman may come in and she's never been in church before. And you want to judge her because her dress a little short. That's all she got. She only go to clubs. She decided to come to church today. Yeah. Let that girl be. You know, and it's the Holy Spirit will do the convicting, but we want to do the convicting.
Right.
When our job is to do the loving.
Right.
Stop taking on the job of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
That's sorry, I got riled up.
That's too real. I love this vein that we're in right now.
Worse.
Like, I honestly love the vein we're in right now. I really do. Like, this is therapeutic for me. Let's keep it going.
Why so therapeutic?
All right, so
why so therapeutic, King David?
No, this is therapeutic for me. I'll just say that. Like, I feel like that's the lost virtue. That's what we're missing in this world. Is love. Honestly, like, love's in need. If I could sing, I would sing that right now.
And it's like, I like realness. I mean, I'm saying, like, that's what really, like, when I first met Audrey, like, Audrey had this different kind of freedom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like knowing that she is an ordained minister. You know what I'm saying? And if you speak with her, have any kind of conversation with her, if you around her, you would know she knows God. Yeah. But she, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if she never. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but if she never told me she was an ordained minister, I never would have thought that. You feel what I'm saying?
And it's like people like that. Every now and then I use the hashtag not your average elder. But it's true.
And it's like
and my pastor had to encourage me with that. He was like, what daughter one? So one day he said, daughter, God know who he called. He was like, if he needed another one of this, he already got those. He called you because you're something different. So don't. He's like, you might feel awkward, you might feel out of place, but God chose you for that. So go ahead and get comfortable being maybe the only one in a space that does it this way. Or if I remember I was at an event and they asked all ministers to stand. And I didn't. And it was a casual, like a birthday thing. And 3 other ministers, it was all like middle-aged men in 3-piece suits. And I'm sitting back there, I got like red or blue hair. I don't know what color it was at the time. I'm back there chilling. And somebody came and fussed at me afterwards. And I never forgot that he said, Audrey, why didn't you stand? I'm like, he said, you was on a whole row with young girls. Yep. He said, nobody asked you to preach. Nobody asked you. He's like, all you had to do was stand up. And you standing up,
they needed to see that.
Just the visual of that could have done something for so many people. He's like, don't do that again and never again. Like, I just show up as me, but God called me.
And that's your genius, though.
Yeah.
It's like that's what, like, everybody know I got my brand of True Motives. And, like, for those who don't know, True Motives really came from a place. True Motives was the best and the worst thing that happened to me. Like, it's my strength, and it became my kryptonite. Because basically, I went through a process when I first came to Christ, and I had been saved about 3 years. And basically, you know what I'm saying, make a long story short, God basically came to me like, you basically just trying to finesse me. You basically using my name to get a name. You know what I'm saying? That's why True Motives. You know what I'm saying? Like, my motives was ill. I was finessing, trying to finesse God. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm finessing everybody, really, just really all out of selfish ambition. Yeah. So, okay, that happened. God showed me my heart. Okay, so when that happened, that was a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Because God showed me, I strengthened up. But the bad part about this, that is I became too aware of my flaws. I became way too aware of my weaknesses. And it's like, I was more aware to my weaknesses and my flaws than I were my genius. Like I was talking, like I was telling Audrey, like your genius is who you are. You know what I'm saying? Your authentic self. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, we don't got enough of that. You know what I'm saying?
But
like,
do you think that, like, what you just said, what you just did to yourself, do you think the collective body or religion does that? To where he's like, out to the point, once I saw my flaws, that's all I could see for a minute. Do you think the church treats people like that? To where it's just like, I see something wrong, and now I feel like I got all I'm talking about is that thing, or trying to fix that. I'm just like, but there's all these other things, right? If we focus on that, maybe that thing will just kind of fade away like Homer Simpson in the bushes.
Yeah, I think it's more self-sabotage and self-condemnation that goes on more than anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like less your neighbor, because when the church does show up, it's for accountability's sake. You know, it's for somebody that's actually calling you today. Right? And showing up. But then we be sabotaging and we be self-condemning. And then all of the things that come around it, you know, just add extra additional stuff to make me go back to God. And then we call it the church, you know. You know,
hey, that boy Darius Door. We got King Media in the building. We about to talk to him in just a minute. But I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you totally, man. Like I think, like I was saying earlier, it's like religion. Religion, I believe, blocks. And when I say religion, I mean man-made traditions. Like, I don't know, like, it's, like you say, this condemnation thing, because God never leaves. You know what I'm saying? That's the lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you sin, you feel like God's so far away, and, like, that's sin for the weird, but it's like, God, he's still there. He like, fam. Like, you ain't just read about David. You just read about David, fam. Like, he got a whole husband killed. And he, you know what I'm saying, not telling anybody to go kill somebody's husband for the thing. But look, I'm just saying, like, it's like God is not a formula. God is not something that we could understand truthfully. And it's like we want to understand. That's what I think religion is. My definition of religion would be man's attempt to try to explain God. And anything that goes outside of what we think is God, like the Pharisees, like they talking to God, telling God we don't heal people on the Sabbath, but this God, He created the Sabbath. Right. But they so mad to their traditions that they miss God, and that's what I feel religion does. I feel religion, well, truthfully, religion killed God, because you know what I'm saying, who got God killed? You know what I'm saying? And it's like I'm not talking about church. I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like let's not cap to the world, bro. Like let's keep it 100. Like I don't want to, like. You know what I'm saying? Like, if God really let it be that, but let's not make it so miserable, because we so flawed. And it's like, you talk to a Christian, and they always down. You know what I'm saying? Like, always depressed, because they stuck in something, they doing something. It's like this constant cycle of, I'm up, then I'm down, and I'm up, then I'm down, and I'm up, then I'm down. And it's like...
You see that a lot now?
Yeah, I lived it. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen it before. My circle has changed, so I don't see it as often.
Yeah, I don't have one. I don't have a circle. I mean, y'all are part of my... I'm sorry. Y'all are part of my circle.
Now, David just
right, so as soon as I go live, you want to come
y'all
and throw me away.
I'm so sorry for that.
David just kicked us out the circle. Like, bro, I don't even rock with you like that.
I'm fine. My circle's changed. Let me say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so real quick, I got a couple. We got a break, man. I actually wanted y'all to hit his song real quick.
I'm live, but we good?
Yeah, you good. He told me to do it. Give me your honest opinion real quick. We got a bunch of artists, and yes, they're going to be honest. We got my man Saad. I don't want to mess up his name, but Saad Morel. I'm gonna tag him in the post. But we about to give you an honest review real quick on your music.
I'm a tough critic.
And we're gonna tell me what y'all think on this. We're gonna ride a little bit, see if it'll play.
I got some people to feed.
Oh shoot!
I don't allow that.
So,
oh shoot! Hold on, let me get right.
For those of you tuning in, this is the last episode of No Labels Podcast for 2021. I'm on Instagram Live, so I'm trying to bring my people up to speed.
Well, you might want to do it on this camera too, though, because it looks clear and really good.
Okay, what did I say? I forget.
I don't know what you said, but the camera's right here.
For those of you guys just tuning in, this is the last episode of No Labels Podcast for 2021. And we just vibing like we always do, talking about the power of tradition and God. I tried to make that real nutshell, and I think people don't understand.
Yeah.
But like, can God and tradition live in the same space?
Okay, so I'm not gonna be able to do the side. I'm gonna do a separate.
What y'all think?
I'm gonna do a separate review. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna do a separate review. We have some technical problems, but I do want to bring Darius Dior and
Darius Dior.
Darius Dior.
It's just a
Darius
whole
Dior.
vowel you be leaving on the table.
And I don't know if his partner want to come, but we got Think King Media. I just want to chop it up real quick with them.
Yeah.
Introduce y'all. When y'all want to come to the forefront, like, who gonna be the spokesman real quick? We're gonna do a little business highlight.
You gonna hold the camera? Okay, we want me to come at?
You know, get out my spot.
We're gonna bring over here. We just want a quick 5 minutes.
No doubt.
Tell them just tell them who you are, what you do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? How you can benefit others.
No doubt. What's up, everybody? Peace and grace. It's Darius Dior here, all the way to Savannah, Georgia, with my peoples here at the Lone Labels Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm a content creator. I'm a media platform builder. If you're an artist, if you are a small business, you can benefit from creating your own content. And you can reach more customers, reach more fans, reach more people just by having someone there to hold the camera. My brother is here right now, Michael, and he was somebody that inspired me to do this because he was like, Dior, you can't write the song, record the joint, plan out the video, and hold the camera, right? You gotta let somebody hold the camera for you and help you do what it is that you do, because you gotta let somebody help you, right? And so what we do at Thinking Kingdom Media is we focus outwardly on the people, and we focus outwardly on what it is that you do, who you are, and what you're about.
Thoughts real quick.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? From Dave and Audrey, but that's what he doing. That's kingdom. That's what I'm talking about right here. Like we not pretending out here. Like, I'm not about to say I'm a child of God. Like, I'm not about to go through the, you know what I'm saying, the motions of saying I am a friend of God. You know what I'm saying? And like if I say I know God, then we gonna make moves, and we gonna be kings, do what kings do. Kings rule. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kings don't lose. We build, and it's like
We build together.
we build together.
We don't
Now,
compete.
and I like what you said though earlier, right? You're tapping into your genius. Like, there's certain gifts, certain things, certain tools that you have that you got to tap into and use. Like, you were innately born to do some things you got to develop, but then some things you were just born with,
I was born talking.
right? Just born talking,
I was born talking.
right? You know, and sometimes some of
I
us
was born
are
asking questions.
some of us are born with an eye
this?
for art, right? Some of
Yeah.
us are born with a tongue that's just crazy tongue, right? You know, some of us are just born with a skill
With
to
the rhythm.
you know,
with the-
with rhythm. It's just something that's innate, right? And tap into that. Tap into your genius. Stop focusing on your flaws so much, like my brother Willie just
Yeah,
said.
like
That's
bro,
it.
like we like.
If you tap into your genius and people see that you like, okay, they're doing that, they need help with this, if they support the genius part, they'll come in quick, like, you weak here, I can help you with that.
Right.
Come on now.
But if you focus on the weak part, then you only focus on the weak part and you showing the world the weak part because that's your
man.
focus. But if
That's
you
how-
focus on the strength and somebody's like, you know what, I like what you're doing, but this could be better.
Already.
There you go. You see what I'm saying?
No, y'all don't know. That's how Thinking Kingdom was birthed.
But
like,
I
for
think
real,
that,
for real.
but that's why God made us with such diversity, and that's why God likes variety. He's like, I'm gonna put this in you, and I'm gonna put what you need in Him, and y'all get along.
Facts.
And it's,
You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
and your genius is like, bro, it's you. Like, your genius is you. Like, your genius is how God created you. And it's like, it takes courage sometimes to walk in your genius. You know, but like, that's the only place you can find freedom. Like, you can't find freedom in pretending. You know what I'm saying? Like, and really, God don't, like, you ain't doing God no justice. Because, like, if He created you to shake things up and you playing it safe, then you not even functioning.
Right.
to
And
how
like
you
my
supposed to
grandfather would
do.
say, he said, you can only fake for so long.
Hold on, just
Blatant no.
that we need a whole nother hour for
a
that.
blatant
That's
no.
like a
He quick.
So-
He said blatant no.
A blatant no.
A blatant
learned
no.
to.
So here's the thing, right? And I want to say this to this everybody. So with Thinking Kingdom Media, somebody asked me, well, are you only going to focus on Christians and people that are in the faith? And I said, well, how Jesus is that?
Come on. I need a shirt that
Right?
how Jesus is that.
How
What would
Jesus
Jesus do?
is
How
that,
Jesus
right?
is that?
If I only talk to Christians, I only talk to people that saved, or I only talk to people that are ministers, what purpose am I serving? Like, how am I being a servant to the people of God? People are like, well, how do you find God? I find God in His people, right? It's so many of us don't even know that we belong to God, right? And don't even understand that faith comes by hearing, and that's the power of God that will bring us to submission and bring us to His feet. Don't even know. And so you need me to have a conversation with you. You need me to sit down and talk to you, right? And so that you can know God, so you can come to know who He is. How Jesus is that if I only build with my sisters and my brothers in the faith already?
Right. Well, I think as a generation, we're more inclusive.
Yeah.
But the church as a whole,
yeah.
How Jesus ate next two motor t-shirt. How Jesus is that.
That's it.
Different colors, but
What you think, Willie?
for me, I'm gonna just go back to like, well, let me answer the question. I can't answer the question, but if I had to answer right now, in a whole, I would say no. I would say no. I'm trying to find the quickest way to explain it, but like she just asked us at the end, like. Yeah, that's what she do though. You know what I'm saying? You see what I mean? But it's like I would say.
Ask a question. Do y'all think Christians respect other faiths?
we got to follow that up.
I would say no.
But
Speaking only
send me a
from
message so we can talk about it.
speaking only from my own walk, because me as I grew, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong.
Were you taught that?
I guess I was taught it, honestly. Like our culture, you know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, like I walk around like, bruh, like I'm 1,000,000% positive that my God is the real God. But you know what I'm saying? Because if I'm not that positive, then what's the point in doing it in the first place?
Have you ever dabbled?
And it's like,
Have you ever dabbled into other?
Bro, I left the whole faith and just, like, bro, I'm like, bro, God don't exist, bro. He not real.
Not legit,
like, bro,
that's what you said.
bro, like listen, I'm
I
like,
feel like we all have to come to our own conclusion that like who we serve is who we serve for our, you know what I'm saying? Not the previous generations, it was just what they were taught, and they followed it blindly. I think our generation, we gotta know. Like I gotta know.
Yeah, you gotta have more to get an explanation
right.
for why.
you have to be confident. And it's like but like this is a real, like when I say I know God, this is not an assumption. Like I know God like I know Darius. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, so that is why I'm not so confident that my God is real, it's true, because I've been going to church and reading the Bible. I'm confident my God is real and true, because at my lowest moment, fam, like bro, He was there. You know what I'm saying? And he and he walking, and that's the picture I want to paint. Like I was saying earlier, like if I had to explain or put in a word what I'm trying to do, what my goal is, I want to show the world what it looks like to be loved. Because God is my Father, good. And that's a relationship. Like you know what I'm saying? Like religion is this thing that we pretend to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a big mask. It's a big mask. So like this thing about relationship, and like I always say, you know what I'm saying? Like God got the highest of standards. Don't get like I'm not saying you can just go out and do all you want to, but it's pointless to you know what I'm saying? It's fun. You know what I'm saying? Like me in a relationship with God, like I enjoy life. I enjoy my kids. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I do struggle with things, but I don't like live no more. Like when I was in depression, I was like I fought with depression, and that by itself really, it was like that fear really offends God. Like fam, like that's like my son being scared he's not gonna eat.
Like what you scared of?
Like bro, you like fam. So you ain't read the Red Sea. You ain't read that part. Like you scared and you forgetting who I am. Like bro.
So go back to the question I was gonna answer. As far as Christians are respecting other faiths, I do now, and I'm very intentional about respect. I didn't respect always, and it wasn't that I was blatantly disrespectful, but within myself, I'm like, oh, they don't, you know, like, oh. But once it came to that place that David's talking about, where you get to, I know that my God is real because of what I've been through, not what He did for my mama, not what He did but what I have experienced with Him, and I would be so offended if somebody disrespected mine that I would not dare do that to anyone else. Right, and there are some places I go and some establishments or even friends I have that I know they have other faiths. And when they're in an observance, I completely respect it. Right. Because As long as it's not an offense to me, or if I think it's an offense that God let me know it's an offense to him. But it's like, if I agree to be in the space and that's what it is, then I'm going to not be me. I'm still going to be me.
Right.
And it's not going to shake my belief, but I do have a new respect around what other people believe, because how sacred my belief is to me. I would be offended if someone blatantly disrespected my faith, so I extend that same respect to other faiths.
That's real,
Right.
though.
And how do you win? If you disrespect them, how do you win them to you?
Exactly.
Right.
So
How Jesus is that?
Right.
how Jesus is that?
Hey, coming in all colors. You got black, you got blue. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to stamp that. What about you, David?
I thought he got an easy no.
Okay,
at first.
I got
But
you.
he didn't back it up with.
Nah, it's the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? Like the as a whole, and growing up in a very traditional setting, I know we were taught not to. Like I'm just learning about other faiths and really learning about other faiths and other religions or whatnot as an adult. Like being more open-minded now, obviously, but I think we were kind of brought up to run the other way. We've seen anything that wasn't Jesus, and I think that's caused a certain level of ignorance. And I just feel like you have to show love and respect to everybody's opinions and beliefs, because
You do.
ultimately, if you're trying to win them to Jesus or to Christ or whatever, do that love and that respect. I mean,
And I think I'm so keenly tuned into respect in that way now. Like, for example, if I see like maybe a big group at a restaurant and they're saying grace, they're blessing their food, and the waitress comes and they're ready, but I've seen them and they'll stop and they'll bow their head.
Right.
Along, I'm like, I don't know if that's their faith, but at the very least, that's respect for what's
respect.
happening, you know. And I'm like, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I want to share in the beauty of respect.
Right.
Because I would not want to be on the receiving end of disrespect for something that is so. I build my life on this belief,
Right.
and other people build their whole life on a different belief.
Yeah.
And God is perfect enough. If I meet them and they're supposed to come over, it's not because I'm a hit them over the head with God. I'm just gonna be me. And anytime I see someone, in an observance, like there's a store that I go to often that is run by someone of Hindu faith. A couple of stores like that, and I'm always chatting with them about different things. And there's still a lot that I can learn from them, but you do.
And the biggest thing that I'll take into next year is to, that saying know thyself. I've learned a lot about myself. I feel like that's been a theme for me for the last 2 years, but I'm taking that into 2022. That 4 Agreements, it's an amazing book.
I still haven't read it.
I read that book. It's a good book.
Great book. I'm taking the foundational principles of that book into 2022 and knowing myself and being impeccable with my word, not taking things personal, not making any assumptions, and doing my best. Like you said, it's about a journey, so this is my life's journey, and I love it.
That's fine. Okay, Audrey.
No, you got it.
I'm
okay, I got you.
Buy me a little time.
I'm still learning the importance of balance.
That's a good word.
The importance of balance in your schedule, in your body, in your mind. Balance of peers, friends. Balance of activity. Balance of diet. All of those different things. And the best version of me I'm learning is a balanced one. And you have to maintain balance, because like you can get there, but it does have to be maintained. And I'm learning how to. It's not a destination.
Right.
It's like cleaning, It's like even like your car. You get your tires balanced and rotated. If you drive it, if you use it, if you use your life, it will get out of balance. And so I'm learning to be intentional about maintaining just balance in every area of my life. And I've learned that balance in one area affects all the areas. And so if you're off in one area, it won't be long before you get off in other areas. And so if you can catch it quickly,
I'm gonna end this, and it's gonna be it for us as soon as I get this. But my final words would be, God got me on this word, tribe. Hold on, let me get right. Let me get the. Make sure we got the sound down. All right. If not, I'm gonna have to do it on my phone. anyway, God got me on tribe. The word tribe basically like, yeah, God, man, do what you was brought here to do, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, walk in your genius. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what I mean by tribe, like, people gonna leave, and that's cool. You can't always get offended when somebody leave, because that's part of God's plan for them. But for you walk in your truth. You know what I'm saying? And everybody connected to that truth. Everybody connected to that is gonna be there, and that's gonna be your tribe. And that goes from friends to customers to fan base. Like you gotta be 100% authentic with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it for the no labels. And I'm about to do this song review. But as far as the podcast, we are out of here. You know what I'm saying? My name is Willie G. This is Miss Audrey.
Yes.
That is King Dave. We got Think King in the media.
All right, see y'all next year, yo.
And we is out of here. Love y'all.
Salute.
It's only right that I do it with the one I began it with.
Back row.
I got Big Bro in the booth with me, man.
Willie G.
We going to the green with some things, man. That's how I go.
No photos, just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we gone. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no photo. Just me and on my phone. Just popping off our guns and getting toasted. I say, come on, bro, no photo. That was then and now we gone. It's time to take it to the other room. I say, come on, bro, not no